Hey there, beer nerds, and welcome to part 2 of our CO2 series. Today, we're going to learn how to fill these. Here is a 50-pound canister. You'll notice it has this white line. That means there's a dip tube in there. So what the dip tube is for is to pull liquid CO2 straight from the bottom of the canister. So you can't use this for serving beer, only for filling tanks. So here we have our little paintball filling station. It's pretty simple. It's just basically a couple of valves that allow you to channel the CO2 whatever way you want to do. So we're going to set this up for filling paintball canisters today and show you the process. Okay, I like to keep mine tucked away here in the corner. So there's really not much to do except make sure you got a washer in here. Comes with the washer, but make sure it's in there. And screw this on. Get yourself a thumb wrench. And then as it's getting ready for that final tighten, I like to turn it slightly to the left and then snug it up straight. There we go, nice and tight. So when the valves are in line, they're open. That's closed, both of them. So then we can open up our main gas and you should hear nothing. Okay, so I have my fill station set up specifically for filling paintball canisters. Now you can get them so that they fill up Sodastream bottles or the regular CGA 320 canisters. Or you could just use an adapter to quickly change it from paintball to Sodastream, whatever way you want to do it. We'll talk about that more later. Now the first thing you need to do if you're going to fill one of these paintball canisters is freeze the canisters. There's ways that you can fill them by using a special pump and a very fancy compressor that you'd see at a mechanic shop. That costs another $5,000 to $10,000 for that. Using this freezing method, it's a lot cheaper. There's also a method that you can fill these and eject the CO2 really quick, and that'll freeze the canister. But in my experience, you waste way more CO2 than is worth it. Just get a freezer. So that brings us over to our freezer. Ice cold out of the fridge. As you can see, these have gaskets on the side. So when you're tightening it into here, you don't need to over tighten it. It's already sealed as soon as it touches that sidewall. So it just needs to be barely snug. Spin the bottle on. Woohoo! Engage the pin. Turn on the scale. Open the back valve. Start filling. Should get us to about 650. Now's a good time. Put on some hearing protection. So you don't really have to wait for it to stop. You can just stop it whenever you want. Blow off the little extra CO2. And start filling again. And there we have it, 720. I find you always want to go just a little past that 710 because of the inaccuracy between the two scales. So let's check it out. So now we'll disengage our pin, release the pressure in the hose, and then we can spin off our bottle. So then I like to take another scale here and confirm we're at 1664, and we want 1660. So we pretty well nail it. Now when it's full, it's good to put a cap on it to protect the threads. The edges of these paintball canisters are actually fairly delicate if you drop them. These caps are nice because they got the little ridges sticking out enough to make it extra protected. So anyway, there's a perfectly filled canister. Okay, a couple words about weigh scales. You can't really use a weigh scale like this because once you start filling that, the hose is going to kink up and it's going to knock it over. I mean, you really need two scales. This one's great to see, like for instance, this is the one I didn't fill all the way. So I can weigh that, see it's coming in at 1523, so I know exactly that I need about another 140 grams in this one. But for filling, you're gonna want a hanging scale. When I originally got this, I was hanging it off of here, but that wasn't giving me accurate readings because the bottle would tend to get caught on the canister, or the hose would rub up against it, and so I wasn't getting accurate readings. So you're gonna have to get a scale and suspend it from some kind of bracket or hook. Okay, in regards to these weigh scales, I bought it for about, I think, $14 off Amazon. This is the second one I bought. The first one I bought had this annoying feature, if you want to call it that. It would have this locking feature. So then any further measurements weren't possible. So then I ordered this one, because the other one you couldn't turn that off, but this one, if you hold down the tare button, it says locking off. So then it won't lock, which is what we need for adding a little extra. Coincidentally, one of my kegs weighs almost exactly the amount of CO2 goes in one of these bottles. Interesting. Let's go over the numbers. This canister holds 24 fluid ounces. That's 710 grams. I like to use metric because it gives me a more accurate number, up to 4 digits when I'm weighing this. The canister empty is 950 grams. When it's full, it's gonna be 1660. Okay, let's talk about the cost. To get one of these filled, it's about the same as getting one of these filled. About $50 to $75, depending on your contract, where you go. So unless you're ready to buy your own tank, you're gonna have to pay a lease on one of these canisters. That's generally gonna be $75 to $100 a year. So if you wanna get started doing this yourself, with the weigh scale, the fill station, the canister, the gas inside, and the lease canister, you're looking at about $250 to get all set up initially. But then it's going to cost you about $2 to fill one of these, and the going price is 50 cents an ounce, so you can charge $12. So you can make $10 profit for every one of these you fill. So if you're interested in offering canister fills to your customers, it could be a good way to pull people into your brewery or your home brew shop. So here at CanKeg, we're working with Alpine Gas to set up these filling stations all across Canada. Right now, the RV market is growing at about 8% a year. What we're trying to do here at CanKeg is provide a way for them to get their beer kegs filled and get their CO2 tanks filled, so they can keep the beer flowing as they travel all across Canada. So if you want to jump on board, you'll be put on a map listing all the places where you can get the direct filling with the beer or the CO2 filling stations. Just contact me at info@cankeg.com.